Okay, so the first thing we're going to work on in this little mini series on your pelvic floor is going to be pelvic floor lengthening exercises, because we clench so much all of the time. We want to first get those pelvic floor muscles to relax a bit, or lengthen a bit is kind of a better term that I like. We don't need them to relax. Obviously, we need them to work. We don't need them to be so tense. And so as we're squeezing our glutes all of the time, those deep inner pelvic floor muscles are also really tense. And so you want to give them a chance to relax. And so lengthen. So as we lengthen out those muscles, then too, as we're trying to build up the stability in the other muscles around our pelvis, then we have a better shot at getting those muscles to fire appropriately versus trying to get these muscles that are already nice and clenched to now be like, well, we're going to stabilize over here, or we're going to stabilize in the front. That just doesn't work as well. So you want to work on some lengthening exercises first. This is also a really great birth prep video, because the goal for birth prep, right, is to lengthen out those pelvic floor muscles and those perineum muscles to get ready for birth. So you really only need a wall and a yoga block are going to be the two things that we're going to use, but we're going to start on our hands and knees with some cat cows or cat camels. So you want our knees under our hips and then wrists under our shoulders. The other really important thing when it comes to pelvic floor lengthening is breath work and pressure control. And so as we're doing these, we want to make sure, I'm going to cue you in when the best time to breathe is, but just to make sure we're not holding our breath, right? So as we come up, I want you to do a nice big exhale, lift all the way up. You should feel your pelvic floor lift up a little bit. You should also feel or try to engage those abs. Pull your belly button towards your spine, not suck it in, pull it in with that exhale. And then inhale, we're going to really stick our hips up as high as we can and extend. A nice big inhale there. So you should feel those sit bones separate a little bit. And then nice big exhale, lift and kind of gently tuck under. Engage those abs. You should feel that pelvic floor lifting a bit. And then inhale, shoot it back down. Good. And then nice exhale, lift up. And then inhale, back down. From here, we're going to go into an elongated child's pose. So knees are a little bit wider. We're going to reach out as far as you can away from you, and you're going to sit those hips back and down as far as you can. So you'll feel a little bit of a stretch in that lower back, but as you kind of feel your sit bones, they are separated. The hard thing with your pelvic floor or your perineum is that they're not giant muscles that you're like feeling this great big stretch. And so a lot of times you're using the anatomy to feel like what should be happening. So we want our sit bones to be farther apart. And then when we do this next one, you're going to feel more those inner leg muscles. And that's cueing you that those perineal muscles are relaxing. So here we go. Here, we're going to sit here and hold nice deep inhales and exhales. Good. And as you're here, you hopefully will be able to start to feel that pelvic floor rise and fall. Or even just sometimes I can feel it like just like relaxing. Like I can just like, I can feel like my low back also just like relaxing. And you feel that nice big release. But sitting there for 30 seconds to a minute, you can always come up and rock if you want, also to help there. Then the next one we're going to do, I'm facing away from you, but I want you to get your butt as close as you can to the wall. Your legs are going to be up kind of in a V shape. Here I want you just to relax your knees out to the side. You should feel a good stretch in those inner legs. If you don't so much, you can definitely push a little bit on those knees, and we want to feel those inner legs just releasing, and just sit here and relax. Again, nice deep breaths, and you can put your hands kind of right above that pubic bone if you want to, and feel kind of as you're inhaling and exhaling. I can feel kind of that perineum rising and falling and relaxing a bit as you're going into the stretch. But just kind of hanging out here, taking a few nice deep breaths and opening that up. Okay. And then we're going to flip back onto our backs. Another variation of that move is happy baby. And so you can grab those heels if you want. The big thing is here, you need to be able to relax. So if that flexibility is not there, you can grab your shins or even kind of the top part of your knees. But we want to grab and hold, push those knees out and relax. And you can rock back and forth. Good. And you can push those knees out. But again, we're really working on stretching out those muscles in those inner legs. Sometimes for me, it's easier to grab my ankles so I can push a little bit more on those knees to get a little bit more of a stretch through those inner leg muscles. Okay. The last one we're going to do is with our block. So grabbing the block here, we're going to step 1 foot on, 1 foot off, just to give yourself a little bit of an elevation change. And I want you to hike up and then down. So we're kind of sliding up and then down and then up and then down. And then I want you to step back. So having that uneven surface, we're going to do a nice rotation. Good. And then shift back. Good. Nice exhale. Rotate. Good. And back. One more. Nice exhale. Rotate and back. Okay. And then switching sides. So this is going to give a little bit of that lateral translation and that unevenness. We want our pelvis to be more like dynamic and adaptable. So we're kind of working on all of those ranges of motion that our pelvis gives us. Good. So you want it to, instead of being tense and rigid, we want it to be a little bit more pliable and movable, right? Good. Rotate and back. Rotate and back. Good. Nice exhale. Rotate and back. Perfect. So those are just some of my favorites. I kind of, like I said, get you all those ranges of motion to help hopefully make your pelvis a little bit less stiff and a little bit more moldable, adaptable, dynamic, however you want to look at it, but movable, not stiff and tense.